Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. This week we're going to be doing Safety Belt Man, All Hell, #1 by Serious Comics, and it came out in 1996, so it's a little bit of a later issue. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own comics. I produce a 12-page, full-size, full-color comic that I send out to my Patreons. So if you want to get that, you can go to patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. I also list these on my own website, alexanderturbin.com. And what I do is I have this 12-page comic that I have 3 rotating stories in each month. And when I have 2 issues of each story done together, I put them all in one book. And I also, on my website, I have Mutandis and Forlorn and all a bunch of other stuff. But getting back to the random access and the 3 different stories is Queller, Cyrene, and Death Knights. And when I get enough of them put together, I have their own individual issues. And right now I have Cyrene #1 and 2 up on my website now. So if you want to check those out, I'd appreciate it. My art personage would appreciate it, and all that. So, Safety Belt Man, All Hell. I did not read this. I'm quite sure I got this either in a collection or something like that, because I've had a couple comic book stores and people would come in with collections and I would either buy them or not or whatever. That's really the best way to get comics, is to have a store and just buy up all kinds of stuff that people come in with and super cheap, because eventually they'll take the super cheapness, which kind of sucks. But it's the nature of the beast. People complain about only getting a couple dollars for a video game at GameStop or whatever, but you could always do the work yourself and sell them on eBay or whatever. So it is what it is. Buy high, sell low in comic books. Excuse me. Anyway, I I had no frame of reference after grabbing this to do a review today. It is serious, and I really enjoy serious books because they do the Dawn and Cry for Dawn and all that stuff. So I was anxious to read it. So I sat down and I read it, and I still don't know what I read. It is created and written by Rob Horan, illustrated and lettered by the Filek brothers. And the Filek brothers, they did a great job. I mean, they go head over heels into this thing. I mean, there is so much detail and everything, but I'll get into the art in a little bit. There's also a lot of work by Joseph Michael Linzer, who did the logo and the art direction. So I mean, it's a pretty looking book, and I mean, there's all kinds of thanks on there for whatever anybody did. So it starts off. So I had no frame of reference for Safety Belt Man. I had never read another Safety Belt Man comic, and really, I know that Jim Shooter always wanted in the beginning of the comic to explain exactly what's going on, because you never know when this is somebody's first comic, and this was my first comic. The only introduction is this biblical thing, and I don't even know what it is. It's a biblical phrase and something else. I don't know what it is. It's really hard to read. The lettering it looks like something from the Conan movie, but you don't have to read that because somebody's narrating it. And I wish somebody was narrating this, because it was very difficult to read. So anyway, getting into this, there's a person here, and he says his name is Bill Bardo, and this is his story. And then, but he says it's nobody's really story is real, or it's some kind of ethereal kind of discussion. It's nicely drawn, but like I said, I'll get into the art later. So he's talking about his origin, I guess, and he was a seatbelt dummy, the crash test dummy, he was he gained sentience. I don't know how. It doesn't explain it. He's a robot. I don't know. Is he a robot? Like I said, I have no frame of reference from the other books, so I don't know if they're just thinking that you'll automatically know what's going on here, or it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a quirky, funny little book, I suppose. But I'm just, maybe I'm not getting the humor. I mean, a crash test dummy into a superhero is pretty cool, but it goes on to explain some kind of history, backstory. He goes to other dimensions and he meets the devil and he meets angels. I am so crazy confused even at this point, and it does not get any better. So there, I've gleaned that they're on a planet called Technophagia or something, and they're in a war with Canaria or something like that. Safety Belt Man has superpowers. He's no longer just a crash test dummy. He's had some adventures and he's gained a weapon and he's superpowers and he flies off. They've launched missiles at Technophobia, and Safety Belt Man goes and tries to intercept it. He does. It smashes into a million pieces, but the million pieces are going to land on the battlefield. I think there's an ongoing nonstop war between Technophagia and this other country, world, dimension. Then they get a call. This is, I guess, Militech is their headquarters, I guess. Tammy, Dr. Benito, is Safety Belt Man's girlfriend slash sidekick. I'm not sure. Anyway, she gets a call from HQ and they want her to come back. But the fastest way to do that is, I guess, into the Bardo. The Bardo is, from what I've gleaned, they don't actually tell you any of this. They don't explain who she is, Tammy, Dr. Benito. They don't explain who the HQ is. They really don't. They leave you hanging in so many aspects. It's just one confusion after another. There's no description of what's going on. It's all dialogue, as far as I can see, and it's just nothing is explained, and it's really very frustrating and confusing to read. So the Bardo, I guess, is an interdimensional portal way that I guess he can open up. So they're going through these. I guess you have to go. It's like not Karma. Liliana from New Mutants, who has a portal into another dimension, and I think Nightcrawler too enters his, when he teleports, he's going into another dimension. I think I read that once somewhere. But they're at another dimension, and there's this giant robot that wants to kidnap, or if it's some sort of military police robot, I guess, because it knows who she is, and it takes her. A Safety Belt Man doesn't like it, so he goes after them. Or no, I guess he doesn't go after him. He goes through the Bardo to get to where she's already going, I guess. So they end up somewhere. They end up somewhere, and there's a fight. Actually, these are demons, some kind of demons. He goes through different realms, and one of them's hell, one of them's heaven. And they just kind of, the giant robot has picked Tammy up, and it's bringing her somewhere. But it's not a good robot. It's a bad robot, but it's trying to bring her somewhere. It falls, and she's going to die. And then it gets into this whole, I guess they're at some HQ battlefields or something. And there's a fight going on, and these are all soldiers. And then something, I don't know what happens. It's a giant television. Where did the giant television come from? What is it? Um, I have no clue where this giant television came from, and they don't know how to turn it on. So Tammy shows them how to turn it on, and it sends some kind of signal from the bad guys. I think this is the bad guys, and they shoot somebody, and there's Nazis. Um, it's some kind of propaganda machine, I guess, and so I am completely and totally lost. It's a Then they start fighting again. I guess they had a little bit of a truce, but then they started fighting again. The TV gets turned off, and it's maybe that's why they start fighting. Maybe the TV. I think at some point Technopolis that's what it's called. It's Cultura and Technopolis is the two warring countries, dimensions, world. I don't know. They don't explain it. Um, and the Bardo, I guess, that's how he teleports. That's other dimensions. Maybe they're all fighting together. If anybody has any kind of collection of Safety Belt Man or knows anything about Safety Belt Man, please clue me in and let me know, because I think that underneath all of this confusion might be a good comic. But if you don't start from the very beginning, then I kind of think that it's not gonna catch you. It hasn't caught me because I have no clue what's going on. So here's Jesus, I have no friggin' clue. They start fighting each other again, the Technopolis and Katura, and there's something to do with the big TV. And then, the Nazis come again, and they want to fight Safety Belt Man. Safety Belt Man goes through the Barda with Tina. Is that her name? And they end up somewhere, and there's some sort of trial going on, because Tony, who's Tony? Kill Cultura now, kill now. Who is she? Really the embodiment of? I have no freaking clue what's going on. I've read it twice, and I really have no idea what's going on. But let's go through the art. And as far as story goes, I'm just too confused. I can't even understand the story. I can't get a good grasp on the writing or the dialogue or anything like that. Everyone kind of has the same way that they talk, and it really, you don't know who's who when they're talking. You don't know who Safety Belt Man is, or rather how he became to be. And I'm just way too confused. I can't even talk about the writing as far as good quality, because I just don't know what's going on. The art is, it gives me a lot of feeling of a lot of different types of artists. I feel like there's some Simon Bisley in there. I feel like there's some Foligno not brothers, Phil Foligno, and is a husband and wife, right? I have that kind of feeling. I mean, I love I really like the art. I genuinely like the art, but sometimes I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be this really highly detailed, nicely textured, nicely colored, almost realistic? It's kind of a Bill Sienkiewicz parody of realism, and that's kind of what it wants to be sometimes. And then it jumps into this very cartoonish, like the Foligno Phil Foglio. I'm sorry if I got his name wrong, but it's got this cartoonish look, and yeah. So then it delves into that. The colors are pretty consistent, and I don't know if the. I feel like there's some airbrush, some watercolors, some colored pencil. I think there's a lot of different techniques going on, and it's really accomplished. You can really see that it's really nice. It's really nice textures. It's really nice, vibrant colors, and I really do like the art. The narrative art. I feel like can't make heads nor tails of the story, kind of like I can't. So, I mean, you can't really judge the book on the narrative art because there is no narrative art in the story. I mean, you kind of have to, it has to go hand in hand. You have to have a good, coherent story in order for the narrative art of the art to thrive. I mean, the artist, I suppose, could have just made things up and went along, but I mean, how can you do that? The panels are a little bit too small for me, and maybe that is some of what is making it is kind of no, that's not what's making it confusing, but it doesn't clarify it any more than it does. I get a great feeling of Keith Giffen too. I kind of feel like he's they're trying to do a riff off of Keith Giffen's book, and they're just it's confusing, and it's just really at a loss of words to describe what it is that I like and what I don't like about the comic, because when you don't have a beginning frame of reference to kind of see what you're looking at, in you it just muddles everything up, and it kind of detracts away from the art. Because if the art and the story aren't working together, then the art is just going to feel weaker. So that being said, I do enjoy the some of the cartooniness. I do enjoy the figures, and I enjoy the textures. And I think my favorite part is probably the colors. But I also really like the emotion and the detail that goes on. And I really enjoy the backgrounds. It has a lot of really nice backgrounds. It's nice and painted in a lot of these parts. It's just I have no idea what's going on. And if I had no idea what's going on and I want to read it just for the art, then I wish it had bigger panels so I could really enjoy what the art is saying to me through the story or without the story. So yeah, I guess that's kind of what it is. So anyway, I can't really give this a good review because I'm just completely lost as far as the story goes. And if you're lost in a comic book, then I feel like that's a huge, huge fail. And yeah. Anyway, Safety Belt Man, all hell, number one. I'm gonna give it a 5. Oh, and the 5 is only the art, so half of it is carried by the art. I can't really recommend this. If you've read other Safety Belt Mans and you know what the story is and the characters are and everything, then maybe you really love this and it's really cool. And please, please, please let me know what you thought of it. So anyway, Safety Belt Man, Sears Comics, 1996, and I give it a 5. If you guys like this kind of content, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and letting me know what you think about this comic and the art. Do you guys like the art? If not for the writing and everything, is the art worth getting the book for? That's a whole nother story that I'm gonna delve into at some point. Is our comics worth getting if it's only good for the art? But anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next time, and have a great one.